everybody, I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to prepare my turkey this year for the holidays. Now, this is a nice utility turkey. It's 10.5 pounds, which is about 4.7 kilograms, and we're going to make this a Napa Jack's holiday turkey. Now, it's going to be Napa Jack's because we're using this awesome Napa Jack's chicken and fish. It's actually poultry rub. We're going to use that for our brine, as well as when we're seasoning it up tomorrow when we're going to roast it up, okay? So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do it. So here's the rub that we're using, and make sure you check out the review I've done on this, and I've done some recipes on it as well, and I'm gonna tell you what's in here. There's garlic, salt, onion, orange peel, spices, sugar, parsley, green bell peppers, paprika, cilantro, okay? So these are some really nice flavors, and we're also going to snazz it up for the holidays a little bit with this brine. So this turkey is mostly frozen. 2 trays of ice cubes are in here already, okay? And I'm going to just throw this guy in there, and I'm going to throw him in there breast side down. That's just the way I do it. You can do it any way you like when you're doing it, okay? So breast side down. Now, you've probably read before that salt actually dries meat out. It leaches the liquid out. But the trick with the brine is that that's what it does. All the liquid comes out of that turkey or chicken or whatever you're brining, okay? Then it rehydrates it with all these flavorful spices, etc. The liquid that's already spiced goes back into the bird. Then you have a really flavorful bird to roast, and it stays nice and juicy as well. So here we go. I'm adding a tea bag. I like to add a tea bag because it gives a nice color to the skin of your turkey or whatever you're brining, okay? Whatever poultry you're using. The tea is going to stain it slightly. It's also going to impart a little bit of flavor. I use my favorite tea bag, that's PG Tips, and I just find that that works well for me. I'm using a half a cup of kosher salt. That's going in. That's very important. I'm using a half a cup of brown sugar packed. A nice big bay leaf. I'm going to use maybe almost a tablespoon of peppercorns. Yeah, a tablespoon of peppercorns. I'm going to use some coriander seeds. Maybe about a half a tablespoon. I'm going to use about 1.5 teaspoons of mustard seeds. You can use whatever color or variety you like. And most importantly, we're going to add 2 heaping tablespoons of this poultry rub from Napa Jack's. Now, this comes from Wine Country Kitchens. They have a gorgeous line of Napa Jack's products, barbecue sauces and rubs, and I believe mustards and things. That's going to be tasty. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add water to this. I'm going to stir those spices in as I go. Now, you could have heated this brine on the stove first, but that's the long way to do it because you have to heat it, you dissolve the sugar, you dissolve the salt, fine and dandy. But then you have to wait for that brine to come all the way back down to room temperature, and then you know, it's just a pain. It takes so much longer. This is going to dissolve. It'll just take a while. And as the turkey is defrosting and as it's brining overnight, everything is going to dissolve and it's going to be just fine. You'll see. Do your best right now. You want this bird covered up with liquid, okay? So the key here is to use a pot that's large enough to fit your whole turkey, okay? Now, if you wanted to add some juniper berries to this, that would be very nice too. Allspice berries work really nicely as well. I can smell this rub. I like holiday things to be a little bit citrusy. That makes me really happy. It already has some nice fennel in there. It just has a beautiful flavor and smell. We've beefed it up with those extra spices for a little bit more flavor. You need that salt in there. That's really important. Just for good measure and a little bit of spice, I'm going to add maybe 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes. And I always like to add a few cloves. That's my mom's little trick. All right, this should do it with the water. It's nearly to the top. It's going to be heavy. Now, I want to weight this turkey down because it's going to float, okay? I'm going to use a nice heavy plate upside down and let that just be its weight, okay? Well, I can't show it to you, I can't tip it, but there's all kinds of spices. You can see that the brown sugar and the tea have started to color the water. Nice stuff going on. It smells beautiful, and that's how you do it. That's how you make Napa Jack's poultry brine, and we're using this for turkey, okay, for our holiday turkey. So that's how you do it, all right? I hope that you check them out online for this beautiful rub and their whole line of rubs at winecountryKitchens.com. You'll be happy you did. Very tasty stuff. Okay, so this is now going to brine overnight, okay? You can see that the spices have started to color the water, the brown sugar and that tea started to make it like a little brownie. So I'm gonna put this lid on. It's gonna go outside in the cold, or into a refrigerator, all right? Make sure that you have those ice cubes in there if you're leaving it out, or you put it into a cooler, okay? Or if you have a large enough cooler, you can put this pot in the cooler to keep it even colder. Got me? All right, so we'll see this guy tomorrow. Okay. So my turkey has actually been brining for 2 days because we had a big giant ham and it lasted forever, and that's awesome. So make sure you check out that recipe. It was Napa Valley Blackberry Ginger Balsamic Ham. It was stupendous, so make sure you check it out. So my turkey has been sitting here. It's been cold. I made sure I put extra ice cubes in. It's been very cold outside, and all is well. This brine smells so good. It smells so savory. It smells just like I want any of my poultry to smell when I'm roasting it up. So now I'm going to take off this plate, and my turkey looks very nice. I've also turned it last night, so that the whole thing gets brined evenly, okay? Not that it wouldn't anyway, it's just me in my head, that's what I do. So I'm going to now dump this in my clean scrubbed sink. Okay, I'm going to rinse my turkey because it's very salty, and if you don't rinse it right now, you're gonna have probably an overly salty turkey, and that's not really what you want, okay? So I'm gonna dump this out, and then I'm going to let my turkey dry before I roast it. All right, so into the sink it goes. Okay, so I've rinsed my turkey all on the outside, all inside. I had the nice little package of the organ meat, and that's gonna be used for my gravy and some of my stuffing, and that's how we're gonna roll with this. So there's your brined turkey. Now, treat this as you see fit, however you usually like to roast it up. But right now, what I need to do is I need to let this skin completely dry. That's how I do it. I need to make sure that it's nice and dry before I put butter on the outside. That's how you do it. That's how you get nice crispy skin. Okay, so now that my turkey is completely rinsed, I made sure I rinsed the outside, I rinsed the inside, and got all that brine off, okay? Really savory smells I'm smelling just off of here. It is really infused with a lot of flavor. It's gonna be juicy, it's gonna be moist, and what's even cooler is that a brine turkey tends to roast up much quicker than a non-brine turkey. So I just cut down your cooking time, and that's always a blessing when you're cooking up a big feast. So next thing I need to do is I'm gonna pat dry the skin as best I can. I just use paper towels, clean paper towels for that, and I'm gonna let it air dry while I'm getting my stuffing prepared. Now, you can use any stuffing that you want to, and I'm not going to include that in this. Just get your own stuffing ready. Do your best to sop up this moisture. And that's why I like to leave it on a cookie sheet as well, so that it has more air movement than putting it in a roasting pan right now. I'm just going to let it sit. We're going to do our best to dry it off. The whole reason you want to dry it off is because you need that butter or whatever kind of oil or grease, you could use bacon fat if you wanted, to stick to it. And oil and water don't mix, right? And that's how you get crispy skin. You want that to be nice and dry. It's really important. I've been known to take a hair dryer to dry off the skin as well, because it's that important to have it nice and crispy. Do your best, the rest will dry itself. Boy, that smells good. So I'm going to make my stuffing now while this dries out a little bit. And as you can see, my utility turkey is missing a wing, and it's all good to me. It doesn't matter to me. So we all have a lot of still meat here, and there's only a couple of us eating, so that's great. So utility turkeys, don't be surprised at when you get it out of the brine after it's, you know, defrosted and stuff, that you're like, oh, it's missing something. That's what a utility turkey means, okay? So it's all good, don't worry about it. Again, make whatever kind of stuffing that you want. Today I'm making an herbed bread-based stuffing, and I'm also gonna add a little bit of a couple cranberries in there. So that's going to be kind of cool. So go make your stuffing, and you'll see me when I'm ready, because you can't start getting the outside prepared until you've stuffed this turkey and all is well, okay? It's all prepared inside. Then you do the outside and get it in the oven, right? So get it done. Okay, my stuffing is prepared. I made a beautiful herbed bread dressing with vegetables and cranberries mixed in, and again, make what you want. So my turkey has been drying off and the skin looks pretty good. I might need to dab it a little bit here and there in a second. I'm going to use a large roasting pan. Now you can spray this down, you can grease it up, do whatever it is you need to do. I'm using some pork fat that I have from roasting some things up, so I'm just going to grease the bottom and a little bit of the sides here with that. Easy peasy. Okay, pat dry one more time as best you can. Looks pretty darn good to me. Okay, now you can use butter if you like. I'm using the pork fat. You can use bacon fat, chicken fat, whatever kind of fat you have. I'm using this today because that's what I have and it's going to be extra flavorful. So I'm going to put a little bit in the cavity just for some flavor for that stuffing I have prepared. And I'm going to massage this into the skin of my turkey, everywhere. You want it on every part. That's why it's important to make sure that it's nice and dry so it actually sticks to that skin. I like to roast my turkey's breast side down. So I like to get the bottom side organized first, which would be the breast side for me, and then I get the other side organized, okay, with seasonings, etc. So this has already been greased up on this side. This is the breast side. I've freshly ground some pepper. You want it to be finely ground so that it actually sticks to the skin. If you have it cracked, it won't stick very well, okay? I don't need salt because we've used a very salty brine. We don't really need it. So I'm going to put a little bit inside the cavity. Use one hand to hold the turkey and one hand to touch everything else, okay? Don't contaminate things. So just throw that in there and sprinkle as generously as you like. Good stuff. Okay? Now, I'm going to add a little bit of poultry seasoning. And I'm also going to use some of this Napa Jack's chicken and fish rub that we used in the brine, okay? Just sprinkle that on. Put some of that in the cavity as well. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I'm going to get the bottom side more so than the top side because this has other spices in that may tend to burn on the other side more, like the garlic and the onion. I'm going to leave that from the top so that we don't have an issue. All right, so that's nice and seasoned. And now I'm going to stuff the bird because when it is breast side up is the best access you have to the cavity, okay, as you can see right here. So I'm going to stuff it. The least amount of movement and messing with it that you can do right now, the better, because it's going to leave those seasonings on as you put them on there, okay? So let's get whatever stuffing that you've made, let's get that in there. Pack it nicely. I like to prepare this on a cookie sheet before I put it into the roaster because there tends to be things that fall off and things like that, and you don't want that stuck in the bottom of your roaster while your turkey's roasting because it tends to burn and then it's going to wreck your gravy. You want nice drippings. Okay, so seeing that I have an especially large cavity today to cover up, I usually would put an apple in there, but today I'm going to use a grapefruit. If you have a large orange, you can do the same thing because this Napa Jack's has some nice citrus flavor in it already, so we're going to stick with that, and this is also going to help me with that. If you've never used citrus to do this, it's also a very nice flavor, and you can actually eat it after too. It's quite good. So I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to put that right there to shut it down, okay? I'm going to use a skewer to skewer this shut. You have the tail end here. You can see I have the tail right here, and that's just going to get skewered into my grapefruit. And that's how we're going to roll with it. So my skewer goes straight into the grapefruit through the tail, and it should hold everything nicely. Now be sure you're washing your hands between everything. You don't want to touch anything with your poultry hands, okay? So now is the time for me to transfer it to my roaster and flip it upside down, breast side down. That keeps that white meat much more juicy and tender. It tends to dry out when you do it breast side up, I'm just saying. And then you're maybe wondering about the skin. You're left with all the skin on the back of the turkey, okay? So you cut all that off after you roast it, and you have all that skin ready. So be careful, do the best you can not to disturb it too much. breast side down. Now we can finish seasoning. Okay, I'm gonna grease up this other side just like I did the other. If you need to pat this dry because it's a little bit moist on this side, go ahead and do that again. I'll use any remaining fat that I have here to baste with as we're going. Okay, we're gonna season with pepper. I've used a mixture of different colored peppercorns today. Some poultry seasoning. We're gonna leave it like that. I don't wanna put this stuff on the top because I don't want them to burn. This bird is gonna go into a super hot oven. Okay, I'm preheating my oven to 500 degrees. I know that sounds like it's really high, but we're only going to leave that on 500 degrees for maybe up to 10 minutes. I want to get this skin nice and crispy and brown, okay? So it's going into a super hot oven. I'm going to put it in at 500 degrees. I'm just preheating it right now. That might sound like it's really hot, but it's only going to go in for about less than 10 minutes. It's going to crisp up this skin nicely, and that's what I'm looking for, is to get that skin done. Then I'm going to cover it up with an aluminum foil tent. But first off, we're going to put our thermometer in. Now we're looking for about 180 degrees. You can go to 175 on your dial, Fahrenheit. When you take it out, it'll raise another 5 degrees after you're done roasting and you're letting it rest. It'll still raise a couple more degrees. So I'm gonna just tentatively put this on here so I know what's going down, we're looking for. And I'm gonna put it into a meaty part of the meat. You can put it into the dark meat where the thigh is, or you can stick it down where the breast is since it's in the bottom. I'm gonna put it in the thigh. Make sure that it's not in the stuffing. Okay, in it goes. That's what it looks like. We're ready to go. Now keep your eye on it. You do not want it to burn. You want to look in there every couple minutes real quick to make sure it's not burning. All should be well, especially if you're using pork fat or chicken fat. Butter will tend to brown up much quicker, and as your turkey continues to roast, it will still crisp up some more and brown up. So you're good to go, okay? Just keep an eye on it. Okay, so check your turkey in 10 minutes, and if it's not brown enough, let it go a little bit longer. It really just depends on what kind of oil or grease you put on the outside and how your spices are doing. So let it go for a little bit longer on that higher temperature if you can, because it'll also help you get that turkey cooked quicker. So I'm gonna let this go maybe another 5, maybe 8 minutes or so, and we'll see it then. Okay, it's sizzling. You can see I'm getting a nice brown color. So what I'm gonna do now is put a foil tent over top loosely. So I'm gonna put the shiny side towards the turkey and spray it with a little bit of spray. And I'm going to, you know how you used to make paper airplanes? Well, on one side, I'm just going to make a triangle. Fold that up to size. And I'm just going to use that that side goes to the head side, and it covers it up. And ever so loosely, you're going to lay that on top so it doesn't really burn that skin anymore. It's going to continue to roast and brown up as it cooks, but it won't burn, okay? So back into the oven, we're gonna turn it down to 350 degrees, and we're gonna finish this up. For a turkey this size, about 10 pounds, 10 to 12 pounds, it's gonna take 3 to 4 hours. Since we brined it, it'll probably be on the lower end of that, it'll be about 3 hours. So in it goes. Check it as you go every 30 minutes or 45 minutes and baste it, make sure it's really nice, and keep checking your temperature gauge. Now this is already up to almost 100, here it's 130 degrees right now. So back into the oven. It's not going to take too long. What you're looking for, and a trick that my mom always taught me, is if you jiggle the joints, the wing or the leg, it should easily jiggle, and if it does, then your turkey is done, okay? So back in the oven. All right, my turkey is done. You want to make sure that your temperature is reading properly and that the skin is crispy. I can just go like this and feel it. Now if your skin doesn't look brown enough or it doesn't feel crispy enough, throw it under the broiler. I would suggest the low broiler. Don't go on high yet. Go on low and watch it for a couple minutes. Make sure it doesn't burn. But I'm going to show this to you as best I can. There's a lot of beautiful drippings in the bottom. We're going to make gravy. Look at that gorgeous turkey. Yeah? Awesome. We're going to make gravy with this. Make sure you check out that recipe for how to make holiday turkey gravy. Okay? So now I need to transfer this into another place so that I can actually make this gravy. And this turkey needs to rest for a good 5 minutes at least under some loose foil. We're going to be brave And we're going to go ahead and transfer this. I'm using 2 forks. I have these 2 tools, but I can't seem to find them. I don't know why. But it's basically like 2 forks. So I'm going to grab from one side to the other. You don't want to puncture that skin. You want to go in through the cavity and where the stuffing is. I also need this to be somewhat cool enough so I can actually get my stuffing out, okay? So we're going to transfer this as quickly and as easily as possible. There we go. Perfect. All right, now I've got all this beautiful pan juice. Check out that recipe for the gravy, and that's what I'm gonna get started. All right, so loose foil. I'm gonna leave this thermometer in until it cools down a little bit too. If you take that out now, juice is all gonna start pouring out of it, and that's what you tried to achieve, was keep the juice in there. So don't do that. Just loosely cover with foil here. You don't want that skin to get less crispy, but you want this to stay somewhat warm. Also, like I said, you could take this out within about 5 degrees of being done at 180 to be healthy and kill all bacteria that you need to kill. And it will raise in temperature a couple more degrees as it's sitting here cooling, believe it or not. So, see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, this guy's been resting for a while. I'm gonna take this foil off. I can take out the meat thermometer now. No juice came out, we're good. What I'm going to do is I need to cut the top of this off, the skin, and peel it off so that we have nice crispy skin before I flip it over and take the stuffing out. I always roast my bird breast side down so that it keeps my turkey breast more moist. It tends to dry out otherwise. So that's why I have it this way, and that's why the stuffing is upside down. So we're gonna cut around where that thigh is, because whoever gets the thigh is gonna want the skin on the thigh. So cut around that, up by the breastbone, and you're going to peel off that skin. And the chef always gets the first chance of getting the skin. Do the same thing on the other side. Cut all that crispy skin off that you can. And it just peels off beautifully. So now you've got all that beautiful crispy skin all for everybody. I like to remove whatever meat I can from the backbone. That's just easy. Boy, that's good. And you can start plating it. Now before that, I flip that over, I'm gonna grab some of this skin. It's nice and crispy and browned. You can hear it. That's the best part of the turkey to me. Okay, so I'm also going to chop off this leg here now before I flip it over. There we go. I just cut it off like a quarter, like how you would see a chicken quarter. Look at that. That's like medieval times, right? And I'm going to cut that into pieces over here, into the drummy and to the thigh. You're going to slice between those two in the V, and it's going to pop open and easily separate for you. Make sure that you're leaving that skin side up so that anyone that's eating those pieces can have the crispy skin. Okay, I'm going to do my best to do this side too. It's just breaking off for me. So you just kind of have to guide your knife, and the muscles between each part will do its part in separating. Okay, same thing, cut between the two. And that will open up. Good stuff. So I got part of that breast off on that side, and I'm going to get this breast off a little bit here too. Now, I'm going to flip it over. So ever so carefully, we'll finish the rest, getting the rest off front. And I'm going to just remove that skewer, keep that meat nice and warm while you're transferring everything. Get yourself your serving bowl for your dressing, stuffing, and I'm just going to scoop that stuffing out. Okay, so the stuffing's out, and I'm just going to get the rest of this breast meat off of here. This skin isn't really all that attractive to eat. It's not really crisped up, so you can eat it if you like, but I usually just take it off, and I serve the breast meat just like that, okay? So I'm just going to slice it down. It's just falling apart. It's so moist and juicy. See, the white meat is what's my favorite of the whole turkey, and I think that's why I roast it upside down, because it's that important to me that it's a really good turkey breast. Boy, yeah, you can slice it as thinly or thickly as you like. Just cut it right down to the bone, and the rest you can peel off. Or you can just peel off the whole breast entirely. It's that easy. And now, once you have this whole carcass removed of meat, don't throw that out. You use that for a soup this week, okay? You make a gorgeous stock or soup, and you use this carcass to flavor that water, okay? So now you're all done, and you don't have to store a great big turkey, and this can just go in easily into a large resealable bag in the fridge or on a plate, Tupperware. Take that wing off. Okay, so that's pretty much all I can get off of there. If you want to serve that grapefruit on the platter, feel free to do so. So let's get rid of this. Now's the fun part, we get to eat. So this is how I'm going to serve it up this year. Just like that on a platter. Everyone can find their white meat or the dark meat, grab a leg or a wing or whatever it is they want. And that's it. Serve some extra chicken and fish spice rub if you like. It's nice to sprinkle on if they want a little bit extra something. And I'm going to keep this nice and warm with this loose tent until we are ready to eat and my gravy is ready. And that's almost done. So I'm going to try a little piece of this for you. Not that I don't already know because I've been tasting it as I've been going. And I'm going to try a little bit of dark meat, a little bit of light meat. So as you can see, this breast meat is nice and juicy. Let's try this out. What you're gonna notice is this is perfectly seasoned. That brine did amazing work. It's so nice and salted throughout, all the way through. It has such a beautiful savory flavor of all kinds of things, not just salt, but it's beautifully seasoned. And it's nice and moist because that breast meat was on the bottom and it's been brined. Outrageously good. The dark meat looks gorgeous too, nice and moist. Buttery delicious. So that's how you do it, folks. That's how you roast up Napa Jack's holiday turkey. You can do it too. This stuff is amazing seasoning. I'm telling you, you can do everything you need to with that brine, and then you season a little bit of that up with this brine too. Plus, I know my turkey gravy is going to be amazing from the drippings from this because of this seasoning. All right, make sure you check them out online at winecountrykitchens.com. This is the whole Napa Jack's line of spice rubs. You can see all my reviews on these guys. Fantastic. Really, really exceptional, outstanding stuff. So there you have it. That's how you do it. All right? Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly, youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly, and you can find me syndicated on Roku. Come to my website and subscribe. Interact with us and let us know what's going down in your culinary world. Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously.